Today I'm talking about one of my favorite topics and something that I get asked about a lot, which is how to be a digital nomad. I think that it takes a little bit of some nuances to get from like, cool, I'm working online, but then now how do I do that somewhere else? There's all kinds of logistics involved in terms of taxes, visas, where to stay for really cheap, all kinds of stuff, how to travel well, all kinds of health insurance and health care. There's lots of little different nuances to it. And I also want to take this opportunity to get really clear about the various options that there are when you're a digital nomad, because as you guys have been learning throughout this, is that it's not just working as a remote employee for a company. There's lots of different ways to do it. And I'm going to go over what all those different ways are because it really looks different for everyone. Alright, so here's what we're going to go over. First, we're going to go over the different types of online work and how you can get started the right way. Then we're going to go over more of the lifestyle stuff about being a digital nomad, because most of this you guys are starting to figure out all the different kinds of online jobs that you can have. But now let's start talking about the other parts of it when you starting to transition into a digital nomad. So the health insurance, the taxes, the visa or work permits, accommodations, including some resources to get some free accommodations around the world, and then also maintaining community and relationships when you're working online, which is a really big issue, especially as a digital nomad where you're switching countries every month or 2 months or however you decide to do it. It can be really lonely, as you can imagine, having to set up a whole new base every time you go somewhere. So you probably have known me by now, but in case this is the first video of the summit you're watching, hi, I'm Esther. I'm founder of Virtual Assistant Internship, and I've been working online for about 6 years. I have my own agency creating online courses, and now I've been helping mentor other women to help them be virtual assistants for the last about 4 years of that time period. So working online a long time, and I really am so passionate about it. I'm passionate about it for more than just working from home. To me, it goes a lot deeper. It's for people who, have a long-term illness, or they have a loved one who has a long-term illness. I understand that. My husband has a traumatic brain injury and requires care. And I suffer from anxiety and depression, so I totally get that kind of stuff. It's for moms. We have kids and they have sick time. They have vacation days from school. They have summers off, and waking up and having to stress about my kid's puking, what am I gonna do, I don't have any more sick time, is just insane to me in this day and age that we haven't figured this out. Moms having to go back to work, and not having any time off with their kids after they give birth. So there's just like so many layers to this. That's like for moms. And then just for women in general, I'm passionate because we need to have our own source of income and be our own badass women. Obviously there's men too, and you guys are awesome and I'm glad for you, but for women, it's really been a time for us to be empowered, because working online opens so many doors for us, because we can stay home with our kids and we can work and we can do all the things. I was a military wife myself, and so I totally get that you have a husband or a spouse that's moving you around and you need something that you can pick up and take with you. And I give talks like this one all around Bali, which is where we live now, and we use it as a base to travel the world. So that's a little bit about me. Okay, so the biggest takeaway that I want you to get from this today is that I am not special to be able to be a digital nomad and live in Bali and travel. So not special. Anybody can do this. Some people, you may have something that has to keep you home, such as a spouse's military career, and so for right now, he has to finish out his contract kind of thing. Or maybe you have a husband who really loves his job, he doesn't want to quit, or he has his own business and it requires you to be present. But I would still challenge you, because there's still probably times, a few months a year, or some time where you could be a digital nomad, and once you have this remote job, you could pick up and go and be somewhere else. Before we moved to Bali and started our adventures, I actually kind of started testing the waters a little bit, and I think I did 6 to 8 weeks going all around New England with my family. We went to New York, we went to Maine to stay with family, and then we went to Michigan for a few weeks, and we just had this super long trip, and I worked that entire time. And so that is like, think big, okay? Don't just think like, oh, I have to sell all my stuff and live in a backpack and travel the world. One of the things we're gonna go over is that this really can look like whatever you want it to look like for you. So if you wanna take a really long trip, and that's all you guys can really do is just go for a month somewhere, do it. And let's talk about some of the nuances of how to make that happen and make sure you do it the right way. Okay, so first let's talk about the different types of online work. We've talked about this a lot throughout the summit. This is going to give you a really clear perspective on what the different kind of columns are that are going on when you see people working around the world from their laptops, okay? So the first column is the one that I think you always traditionally think of, which is the remote employee. So the remote employee, here's the things you need to know about that. That's very time zone specific. So if a company is hiring you from the UK, then they're going to expect you to work UK business hours, which means that if you're going somewhere like Asia where the time zone is totally different, you're gonna have a really hard time being based in Asia because you're gonna have to work really crazy hours. Some people do it, you can totally do it, but you have to be careful. It also means that you're gonna have vacation time according to what your company says that you have. So in America, our vacation time sucks, it's like 2 weeks a year. But a lot of companies, if you're allowed to work remote, a lot of times they have pretty generous vacation time. And they really don't care where you're working from, so they're a little bit more flexible. So it really depends on the company. But you are going to be limited to just the vacation time that that company gives you, where you can be off your laptop, have it put away, and you can just be enjoying the beach or whatever kind of trip you want to take. You're also going to be taxed in your home country, in whatever country you're working in. So if the company's in the UK and you're working through them, you're going to be taxed through the UK system. If you're American and it's an American company, you're going to be taxed normally through that American company. So even if you're living not in America, and I'm going to talk about how you do not have to pay taxes if you do not live in America, then you are still going to be taxed according to the American amount, okay? Also, a lot of times you get really good benefits. So that's the cool thing about being a remote employee. And some, if you're going to live or be traveling full time outside of America, you have to make sure that those benefits are even going to apply to you. Because having great American benefits, just in this example, is awesome. But if you're traveling full time, then like the only use you're going to have for those is if you have to get emergency evacuated back home. And a different insurance plan might actually make more sense for you. We have lots of resources on health insurance in this summit and also just all over. And I'm going to go over a little bit more in here too. But you have to make sure that that makes sense for you. So it's not really going to be a benefit to you is what I'm saying. And you have to make sure that some of those benefits are really benefits and that it's not just the company trying to keep you reeled in like, well, we have a retirement package. And then you realize like, well, I could have just been putting away for retirement myself. Options that are the traditional jobs that you would see for a remote employee would be web development and anything in the software world. So QA, product management, project management, engineering type of software engineering type of stuff. And then social media management, digital marketing, you can look for companies doing that. Customer service is a lot of times, you can get remote jobs doing that. And then just general admin type jobs and writing and editing jobs you can sometimes get as a full-time remote employee too, or even part-time remote employee, like whatever the company wants to do, okay? So that's a remote employee. The next one is a contractor that I mentioned just a second ago. And a contractor means you have a flexible work schedule. So if you have 3 different clients and they hire you for 20 hours per week each, and one is in China, one is in America, and one is in Australia, you just get your work done by the task and day that it's due. You guys are going to agree upon a time that you can get that task done, and that's when you get it done. It doesn't matter what time zone. So for example, I'm a business owner and my team is full of contractors, okay? And they're around the world, and they just, when they wake up and log in and work, that's when they work. I don't have set hours for them that they're supposed to work, okay? And they just know what their stuff is that they need to get done, and I just trust that they're going to get it done, okay? It's not like you have to be online from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. like most remote jobs are. I've done remote jobs, I know. And also, it's a little bit different because in a remote job for a company, you have a boss, right? You have somebody who's in charge of you. You have somebody that is managing you. You have to report to them. They can fire you, all that stuff. In the contractor world, you have clients, and you have a lot more power as a contractor because it's more of a collaboration rather than somebody who's in charge of you. It's, I'm going to work with you, and you're choosing to work with me, and if at any time we don't like it, we can separate. That doesn't mean that they can just like cut off and not pay you anymore. There's precautions you can put into place to make sure that you get paid. You can get paid ahead of time, actually, before even doing the work. You can have them, they have to give you 30 days notice. Like there's different things that you can do to make sure you don't get screwed. But it's like also you have the power too, like this, like I've had to fire clients before. You're being a jerk. So we're not working together anymore. And it's really nice to have power in that way. So it's a little bit different. And you're also not outright taxed. So when you work for a company, they pull the taxes out for you and pay them for you throughout the entire year. When you're a contractor, you have to pay them every quarter, and they're kind of an estimated tax that you pay in. And then at the end of the year, when you file your taxes, they say, oh, hey, you paid enough, or hey, you didn't pay enough, you owe a little bit more, or hey, you paid too much and you get a refund. But a little hint that we're going to go over is that when you're not living in America, and if you follow the right steps, you do not have to pay taxes. We are one of the only countries that charges people, once they leave this country, taxes still. And there is a very legal way to get around that I'm going to talk about more. You also, if you are a contractor, have to pay your own benefits. So those of you who come from a country where you are blessed with having socialized healthcare, where you guys have, everybody gets healthcare, which is amazing, you don't have to worry about this. But for countries where you don't, you do need to, and companies a lot of times are paying for you to have healthcare or dental care or eye care, or whatever the things are that they tell you they're going to give you. I mean, like, this is crazy to me. And I don't know if you guys have context for this, but I've worked for some high-end software companies, and they would pay half of the health insurance, and I would pay half of the health insurance. And even just for me, I was still paying like $200 to $400 a month for healthcare, and that was me only paying half. We're going to talk more about health insurance, but I pay way less than that now to have health insurance cover me everywhere except for America, for me and my son. So anyway, but you do need to pay your own benefits, but that comes out of your business, and that's a tax write-off, which is great. So you don't have to pay any tax on that. Another thing is, just like with a remote job, you can lose a client at any time. Like I said, there's precautions you can put in place to make sure you get paid ahead of time, make sure they have to give you notice, make sure you're getting, packages. And this is stuff that I talk about in a lot of my programs, help you guys set it up so that you're having consistent clients and consistent revenue, and things are working as a machine, and you can make so much more money as a contractor. And a lot of times companies will still hire you as a contractor. Listen to the talk of what remote recruiters look for, because companies are hiring you as a contractor, and you get paid 1.5 to 2 times more as a contractor for doing the same job because of the perceived risk that you could get fired at any time. Well, so could the other people, but they would get 2 weeks notice. Whoop-de-doo. Like, I would rather get paid more, right? But it's the same as in this contractor. You could have one client and you're technically a contractor for them, and you work for a company and you're a full-time contractor, whatever. Or you could have 3. I know somebody who has 3 full-time jobs because she's trying to pay off debt. So it really is up to you. It is important, though, to diversify your income streams, and that's something that you might hear me say, which means that you don't just have one client. If you want to just work for one company, fine, but make sure you have some savings in place in case that goes away. And it's just really good to have money coming in from different sources. So it could be maybe you sell ebooks, maybe you have a blog, maybe you have another online business, maybe you rent out your house, maybe you do consulting, like whatever those things are, it is important to have them so that you can, anytime you're not destitute, whether you're fired for a remote job at a company or as a contractor, your client. I've had that happen to me. I was in the middle of a trip and the client said, I don't want to work with you anymore. And it was right before he prepaid me, but it was right before he was going to prepay me for the next month. And so he was within his rights, and I was screwed. I was fine. I made it happen because I have multiple streams of income. I was okay. And our family weren't, stuck in America. All right, so let's talk about types of online work for a contractor. This is much more common to see in the online space. There's tons of remote jobs out there too, but I just think the diversity of jobs that you can get, like for remote corporate jobs, it's going to be much more like HR, software development, product management, like more like officially type jobs. When you're a contractor, we got like everything and anything and everything, like way more options. So virtual assisting, digital marketing, social media management, blog writing, video editing, audio editing, web development, teaching English, transcription, graphic design, proofreader, Pinterest management, PR, so many different things. A lot of stuff we've gone over in the summit, or that you might have heard me talk about before. So tons of stuff in the online workspace. And please hear me that this doesn't have to be a one-off project that you get. This could be long-term clients. Someone could hire you to be a podcast manager, and every month they pay you $2,000, and you do this bulk of work for them for their podcast. Okay? So that's the contractor. The other type of online work that you'll see digital nomads doing is an online business. And I hope that we've clarified between these different options for you. So an online business is selling an actual physical product, a digital product like an ebook, Coaching services would be considered to be an online business if you're selling health coaching or business coaching or life coaching or therapy or something. And blogging is considered to be its own business. So if you listen to How to Be an Influencer or Blogger with Christina Galbottle, know that is it's a business. It's starting a business, okay? Now the thing about this is that it's very dependent on sales. So you are not getting a consistent paycheck. You don't have clients that are consistently paying you for work that you're doing. It's just up to you to make those sales. And the income goes up and down according to sales. This is something that I've been dealing with because I've shifted out of doing done-for-you services with my agency, and now I'm just focusing on my courses and programs like this, which is amazing. But it's really hard to figure out and nail down what my income's going to be because sometimes my sales are up, sometimes they're down. So that's kind of one of the drawbacks of online business. The other thing about online business that I think people don't really consider is this takes like 3 to 5 years minimum before you're going to see a real profit and before it's really going to start making you money. So it's great to get started as a contractor or a remote employee or something else while you build up this online business, okay? So that's why a lot of bloggers, they might have tons of followers on Instagram, but they're probably still doing social media management for other clients. They may not be able to make a full-time income from their blog quite yet. So it really depends on the person, of course. So other types of examples would be drop shipping and e-commerce. That's really popular. A lot of digital nomads do that. And then that's it. Okay. And then the last option, these are just like there's just like a whole group of a whole bunch of other things that you're going to hear digital nomads do around the world. One is just work and trade for accommodations. So maybe you're going to teach yoga every morning and you get to stay and eat for free at the hotel, or workouts or something like that. Or you're going to do social media management and do a web design for a hotel and you get to stay for free. So trades are actually quite common in this industry in that regard. Maybe you're going to teach scuba diving in exchange for getting to stay for free and certain hours per week. There's a great website you can do that and check that out. It's called Workaway. Also, other options are stock trading, which is very popular also here. Digital, I say here, but amongst digital nomads. Bitcoin is really popular amongst digital nomads. Real estate, I've met quite a few people here who live 100% on their real estate. They have international properties around the world or around the country, and they just live on the profits that they make from the real estate. And then some people just aren't even making money yet. They're like living on savings and they're just doing a startup business. They're trying to start a business and they know it's going to take them a few years. So there's an option. And then the kind of things to know about that is that your income is going to go up and down. So Workaway is great, but you don't always have time to work on your own stuff. So you want to make sure that if you're going to do a work exchange for accommodations and food, that you still have time to work because you still need money. That's not going to be enough. It's a great idea, but you still need to pay for your visas. You still need to pay for a flight home in case it sucks or in case they're crazy. You still need to pay for food and toiletries and all kinds of stuff. So you want to make sure that you're getting a good, think about all those things. Don't just be like, oh my gosh, I can stay for free in an Italian castle and all I have to do is walk the dogs every day. Okay, but how are you going to eat? And how are you going to get out of the castle and do other stuff? So make sure that you have those kinds of things. I never want somebody to be an indentured servant or stuck somewhere like a slave and they can't ever leave because they have no other way to earn money. So be careful. Get your services going before you do that. And then in these other kinds of options, those are all honestly kind of it's hard because you don't think of stock trading or real estate as a business because it's just kind of something you do, but they are. And so for those ones, you would have to pay your own health insurance or retirement or whatever benefits means to you. And you would also need to be paying your own taxes too. All right, so those are all the different options, right? We have remote employee, remote contractor. Sometimes people are doing a little bit of both. We have the online business options, and then we have kind of this other column. And I want you to think to yourself, what one sounds good to you? Or maybe it's a mix of the two. Maybe you want to do stock trading and you also want to do some services on the side. Maybe you want to start an online course and an online program and do coaching, but it's not going to make you enough money right now. And so you're going to get a part-time remote job while you get that launch. Really, you need to figure out what the best mix is for you. And there's no right answer. That is my other big takeaway I want you to get from this. The more you travel, the more you meet people that are doing all different kinds of things. It's actually amazing what kind of things people are doing. Who knew that people were doing Bitcoin full time? I know in America people are like, what is that? But for me, it's normal because I hear people talking about it all the time. So This is real. People are really doing this, but they tend to be doing a mix of things. So even me, I was doing online services with my agency and running all these courses and programs at the same time together for like 4 or 5 years before now I'm able to do my courses and programs full time. So everybody's journey is a little bit different, and give yourself permission to figure out what that's going to look like for you, and make yourself a plan of like, okay, cool, I'm going to do social media management while I build up my blog. That's a really common thing, and I build up my influencer. Or I'm going to do like what I said, I'm going to offer services while I build up my coaching business, okay? So figure it out what it looks like for you. All right, so I don't know how to launch a stock market company or a real estate business, but I do know how to launch your online services. And we're going to go through the 5 steps that you need to go through to launch your online services. Some of them you need to have done kind of before you embark, unless you have a lot of savings. I know people that lived on savings for the first 1 or 2 years while they built up some income streams. That's fine too. And then some of them you can do as you're traveling, okay?